President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has signed the instrument of clemency and pardon for selected individuals, completing the formal process of exercising his constitutional powers of mercy. A statement by his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the move followed consultations with the Council of State and a review of public opinion. Following the review, the president ordered the removal of individuals convicted of serious crimes such as kidnapping, drug-related offenses, human trafficking, fraud, and unlawful possession of firearms from the clemency list. Others previously granted pardon in the old list had their sentences commuted. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has revoked the presidential pardon earlier granted to Maryam Sanda, who was sentenced to death in 2020 for killing her husband, Bilyaminu Bello. According to an official gazette released by the special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, Sanda's sentence has been reduced to 12 years imprisonment on compassionate grounds. The gazette stated that Maryam Sanda, who has spent 6 years and 8 months at the Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center, will now serve an additional 6 years. It cited her good conduct, remorse, and the need to consider the welfare of her children. Joining us via Zoom to provide more insight on this development is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Sam Karbo. Good evening and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me this evening.
Will you take this commutal and reduction in sentences as an indication of the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a listening president?
Yeah, definitely. And let me congratulate Hamza there. I listened to him, and my thoughts were that I wish I could be this articulate in responding to your questions. Yeah. But coming to the issue here is very commendable, and of course, it shows that Mr. President is attentive to the concerns of the general public concerning his own discretionary powers to grant clemency to people who have already been convicted and sentenced to various sentencing terms. It's so very easy for us to say, oh, some people should not be included. And of course, they've listened to that. Some people have been excised from the list, and some people have left on the list of the prerogative of mercy. But let me give you a reason and background to why the state grant Mr. President those powers. Very easily, the state is a punitive authority, and we do not have the human aspect in our own what would I call it now, our own criminal justice system, like we have in other countries. In other countries, irrespective of the crime and irrespective of its heinous nature, they have a way of trying to humanize you and reintegrate you into the society. And because that ethic, that very particular culture has become part and parcel of them, crimes are less, and the severity of the crimes are not as much as why we have them here, which is an eye for an eye kind of philosophy like we have here. Mr. President came out with first a tentative list, which was, I think, prepared by the Ministry of Special Duties, because that was the ministry where housing that very particular function and powers of the president. And the Attorney General has gone through that, and I'm certain that through his own advice, taking a look at the effect and impact of that very particular clemency list, Mr. President has reviewed it and has actually also gone beyond not just reviewing the list, but also reviewing the process itself, By now, we are housing the process in the office of the Attorney General. To me, that is indicative of the fact that Mr. President is listening, and it is his own, what would I call it, not just right, but it's advisable for him to listen, because some of these things have political consequences.
Yeah, one of the key cases, if you like, is the issue of Maryam Sanda, who was sentenced to death initially and had served 6 years and now is going to serve 6 years. As a senior advocate of Nigeria, what do you make of such commutal?
It's a balancing act. Here is somebody who has killed somebody, who has a family, and that family is grieving, and that family would ordinarily want justice to be served in their own likeness and in their own conception of justice. But there is also the larger duty of the state. Sanda has children with the same gentleman that he has killed. Those children are there. They have to be attended to. If Sanda is now, what would I say now? The earlier judgment and sentence was put into effect and hung. What happens to the children? The children will also suffer. And if somebody had advised Mr. President to say, yes, this is an heinous act, this is bad, and most times too, the victim's family would have been consulted. I know that could have been done. And if they say, hey, for us, whatever you think is right in the circumstance of this case, go ahead and do. And if they've done that, I see no reason why we should be overly ceremonious about why it was done. To me, the fact that the reasons given is about the children who are involved, I would say justice is still being served. Because as I am seated here, I don't believe in the death sentence at all. I do not think it's in the hand and right and power of the individual to take the life of another individual, even if it is what? Carrying on a procedural duty.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Sam Karbo, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, for your comments and your insights.